Good morning, everybody. My name is Zeb Warren, president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today we are here for Chino Valley Business Beat, episode number 4. Today we're going to be talking about starting a small business, and we're going to interview some people who have started small businesses, give some advice to people, and share their stories about creating a small business. We also want to highlight a local nonprofit that is doing good work in the community. That's going to talk about how the chamber helps support them in their involvement with their nonprofit. And talk about having an ambassador come on and talk about their ambassador program. We're going to have a staff member talking about workforce development, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of legislative action that happened, then follow up with some chamber updates. So that's what you can expect for later today. But today we're going to kick it off by talking about small business, and I'll just share my story about starting a small business here in Chino Hills. When I started my business, I used to history. I left high school. I left teaching in 2007, not knowing that recession was going to happen. So I couldn't find a job anywhere as I was applying for places all over the place. Could not find a job. The only job that I found was tutoring one student in a one-on-one capacity. And I figured, hey, maybe I could turn this into a business, but I knew nothing about running or starting a business. So that's something that I tried to figure out how to do. So my sister was learning how to build websites at the time. She built our first website for my tutoring business. And my thought was, if I were able to get on the top of Google, that I would help get my tutoring business. So that's what I tried to figure out how to do. I did, and then I started. And then while I was doing that, I was learning about email marketing. I was learning about social media marketing. I was learning about websites and getting on top of Google and all that stuff. And one of the kids that I was tutoring, his mom was a business owner, and she said, "I love what you're doing. Can I pay you to do what you're doing for your business for mine?" She paid a lot more than what I was doing in my business. Quickly started my online marketing business, and that's what drove me to the chamber. And when I came to the chamber, I just had like I said, I had no idea how to run a business. I was looking for mentors. I was looking for people that knew what they were doing in business. And when I joined the chamber, I found some of those folks, but then it wasn't quite the business organization that I thought it should be. So I've worked pretty hard to get involved and ingrained and help turn this organization into something that can support businesses round up when starting and be a true reflection of the business community here in the Chino Valley. So just some tips of things that I've learned along the way. Number one is I always wanted to make sure, like when I first started business, what I was doing, like I said, so I just set out to do 5 things every single day that was going to help grow that business. So that's one of the things. My dad has always given me the advice of, his advice is a golf advice, but it's hit the ball as hard as you can, which is terrible golf advice. But in golf, in life, it's like, right, is what he's always said. And then one of the things that's always stuck out to me is this: do or do not, there is no try. My father-in-law is a successful business owner in his own right. One of the pieces of advice he always gives me is, do what you say you're going to do. So if you commit to do something, make sure you do it. And that's something that I've tried to embody in my professional life as well. So those are just some things to help get you on a path. I'm going to talk a little bit about the end about some of the resources the chamber provides to help small business. But with that, I wanted to kick it off to Kavita. So Kavita has been a chamber member for a while. She was on our board of directors for a while. I have been able to see her when she first started her business and watch it grow. And it's been a phenomenal thing to see and witness as an observer. She runs a phenomenal business and does a great job with it. So we wanted to have her on to talk about her journey and share a little bit about growing her small business, which I think is moving up into the not so small business area. So Kavita, welcome today. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Thank you. Zeb. Happy to be here. My name is Kavita Bhatia. I'm the founder of Acreage Real Estate. We are one of the fastest growing commercial real estate companies in Southern California. And I'm proud to share that we are one of the handful of independent commercial brokerages that is female owned in Southern California, and in California, there's not a lot of us. And I'm happy to be a member of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I've been your member, I think, since 2000, maybe 18 or 19 or something like that. It's been several years. And I've seen you guys flourish as well. And thanks to Zeb, who's been working really hard and bringing so much growth into our community and helping all the businesses around here. So Zeb, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to speak to the Chino Valley business community today.
Well, you probably started right when I started taking on the president and CEO role here at the chamber.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's talk about starting your business. Would love to hear how you got started in business and share a little bit about, your history and background and what led you into entrepreneurship.
Well, my parents were small business owners. So I was always surrounded by small business owners. And having that sort of business background, I think, came from that foundation to begin with. I was probably like, I think when I was 12 years old is when my dad opened up his market in Riverside. And I remember spending summers there, working there. And a lot of our customers that were coming and going, they were also business owners as well. Once I graduated from college, my parents had another business, so I sort of took over that in a different city in Upland, started working there, took over. They handed the business over to me. So, after graduating college, I ran that for many, many years, made a lot of great connections, met a lot of good people, but it wasn't necessarily what I loved. And then when I figured, you know what, a lot of people say I'm good in sales, so how about I give real estate a shot? And real estate, right from the start, it is like being self-employed because you're running on commission. Whatever effort you put in, whatever you obtain from that effort that you put in it sort of is. If you put in this much effort, you're going to gain this much. If you're putting in less effort, you're going to gain very little. You see the results right away. And it's just like being self-employed. So that's the beauty of that was my foundation. But having a small business background, I kind of knew that I was missing something. And in a lot of those environments, I didn't feel that those were like positive work environments. It wasn't the work itself. The work, I was like, oh, okay, I love helping people. I get to help people. It's awesome. But the work environment I felt was very limiting. There was sort of a glass ceiling, especially when you're in commercial real estate. It's a very kind of an old-fashioned style industry. There's a lot of seniority. There's certain ways that you have to do things. And I just didn't feel that that was a positive work environment for me. And I felt that I couldn't be the only one. So my heart always felt like this is not the way a business should be run. So I felt, but I couldn't find any other office that was also providing that sort of positive work environment. So I felt that I had to create that space. It wasn't something that I had this, I have this plan. I want my own business. It just gradually felt like the right thing to do because there is a service, there is a space that was lacking in our industry. So when it was like the heart sort of told me this is what you need to do, and the brain had to figure out how to get there. And that's my life in general, but my work has been the same way. Like my heart was saying, this can't be right. And one day I decided, I'm just going to go ahead and open up my own office. I know it's not going to be easy because it is very expensive to be in a commercial real estate, to own a commercial real estate brokerage, because of all the tools and everything are very expensive in general in our industry. But I felt that this was something that I had to do, and I did it. I just, took over. I think my office was probably no bigger than 600 square feet. I had 1 year's rent. I paid 1 year's rent upfront because I wanted to kind of like plan out my budget for the year, and I was going to give it a shot for 1 year. How's it going to go? And if am I going to sink or swim? So I paid the rent off for a year, so I wouldn't have to worry about it. And started working, and it just growth happened over time. More people wanted to join. Then I felt that, hey, you know what? Our office is not big enough. I gotta make it bigger because there's a couple other people that want to join. I just had enough space for like maybe 3 people. And so then I ended up looking for an office. As I was looking for a bigger office, it turned out that office was for sale. So I ended up buying it, and that COVID happened. Then I'm like, okay, I can't move in. Everybody's working from home. But by the time COVID was over, everybody started to sort of go back into the office space. that office became tight too. So I was like, okay, now we need bigger space. Now I'm in a nice 6,500 square foot office building that I purchased about a year and a half ago. And, we're growing. We have a lot of agents that have come on board. We do only take on agents that really want to produce and be involved. We're not the kind of, traditionally when people think real estate offices, the saying is if you can fog a mirror, they'll hire you in a real estate office. But commercial industry is a little bit different. We kind of look for the right mentality, somebody that wants to produce and be involved and grow. Those are the kind of agents that we take on, and we've been growing. So I'm very, very, very grateful.
Well, good. Well, let's go back to those early days. So when did your business, like what year did you start?
2017, March 2017.
Yeah, so March 2017. Let's go to those early days. What's a lesson that you learned early on when you started your business that you could share with other people?
I, I always advise business owners, keep going. There's gonna be a lot of heartache in the beginning, and there's going to be a lot of, you tried your hard and it still didn't work out. You got to keep on trying. Have a decent budget in mind, stick to your budget. There's a lot of ways where you get tempted to spend your money here and spend your money there, especially when you're starting out. I think there's a real temptation to spend a lot on marketing. And although that's important, I would say be wise. Make sure that you're not trying to do everything all at once. 1 month, maybe try one thing, second month, add something else on, third month, add something else on. But don't try to do everything all at once because you're going to, blow your budget, and then you're not going to have money to just keep your business going, because in every business there are months when things are great and there are months when things are not great. COVID happened, for example, and a lot of people, if you budgeted for a rainy day, you were okay, you were able to ride out that time. I know it wasn't comfortable for any business owner, but you have to kind of have a budget where it allows you to be ready for things not going great. So don't bet that the money's always going to be coming in. The sales are always going to be there. You always want to kind of make sure that you're not overextending yourself. That's very important, I think, as a business owner.
Great, excellent advice. And do you have an example? You mentioned there like that pain point that you experienced, or like this is not going well. Can you speak to that a little bit? Has there been can you
That's
point
every day. When
Yeah.
you're a business owner, that's going to be an ongoing thing. When you're like, man, why couldn't it be better than where we were? Sorry if my computer's shaking here. Why couldn't it be better than where we were yesterday? Things happen, industries change, rules change, laws change. You always have to be ready to adapt and evolve. And as a business owner, I think there's never this sort of stability, and be ready for that and embrace that non-stability. Be ready to be kind of always open to seasons changing on you when you least expect it. And I would say even till this day, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm always like, well, things didn't go the way I wanted them to. Things weren't exactly planned out. And in a way, I think that's a good thing, because there should always be this burning desire to do better, this burning desire of being a little dissatisfied. To me, that's a good thing. I even teach my agents that don't be happy just because you closed a big deal. Don't think that this is done and you're successful. Now it's like, what's next? Part of my workday is not only just working on the things I'm supposed to do, but looking for more business, looking for more leads, looking for more work. A good chunk of my day is going to be spent on that. And part of looking for more work is being open to embracing the no's that are going to come with it. When you're out there reaching tons of people, they're not your friends. You're reaching out to strangers. They don't have to be nice to you. Some of them will be nice, some of them may not be very nice, and some of them may be just like straight up awful. That's okay. Move on, just keep going. But the little bit of dissatisfaction, never being satisfied as a business owner, I think that's a good thing, that you need to have that little bit of fire in you.
Excellent. And yeah, well, I mean, one of the things you mentioned is that challenge that business owners face of always messing up, like you think everything's falling apart. And I totally agree. I feel like that constantly. One of the things I find a lot of value in I'll say like groups of people or like joining a business organization like the chamber is you get to see that with everybody else. You don't feel alone in that scenario. And that's one of the things I feel like that I love being part of this business community and organization is because we're able to dialogue and discuss those things with other people. I know that getting involved with the chamber was important to you. Becky, can you talk about like why you got involved with the chamber and how that experience has been for you?
I, I think being a business owner, you're very sort of, even with all the customers and you can have employees, when you're at the top, you're sort of alone. You can't really have that same conversation that you can have with another business owner. Hey, what kind of programs are going? I mean, everybody, a lot of business owners, we leaned on each other throughout COVID. Like, what's next? What kind of, tell us about the PPP loans. Tell us about, what other programs or grants can there be, tapped into, whether somebody used it or not. But it was good to have that information so you can at least pass it on to other people. There were things that I didn't qualify for, but I actually, I advise people, hey, maybe this is something that you can tap into. I think the chamber played such an important part during that time in guiding business owners. I mean, we were all like sort of leaning on each other to figure out, what's the next path, because it seemed like a very, it was uncharted territory. I'm sure you would agree, right, Seb? Yeah, it was uncharted territory. So I think that it's great when you kind of chit chat over networking event and share coffee and some nice conversations. But it's really when the times when business owners are so challenged that that network was already there for me that I could tap into. And there's a lot of business owners that are part of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce that I've leaned on during that time.
And no, yeah, no, thank you for bringing that up. That's one of the things where it was interesting. COVID was a very unique experience, and that is one of the things where I feel like we did a good job of making sure our businesses were informed at the very least. I was doing a lot of these in my garage, my detached garage that hadn't had any drywall on it yet. Just doing these informational meetings with some of our legislators to help get the word out. But you're right, that ingrained group that you have there is when things do like a lot of times I think businesses kind of feel like they have to be involved in the chamber in order to receive benefits from it. But in your case, it's just like being in that network. So you knew that you had resources available when something goes wrong and you have the access to it, which is great.
Well,
Uh,
if one more thing, I've tapped into the chamber. I've met some really, members of the community that are you know, like, the county supervisors, for instance, the local city officials and things like that, that I've been able to make connections through the chamber. And I've tapped on them for information and just having that sort of, that warmth that Chino Valley Chamber created by them being involved and by us being involved. I think that allowed me to reach out to them and get whatever questions I had, they were addressed right away. That maybe if I was just an individual that wasn't part of the chamber, maybe they may not have been addressed as quickly, I would say. So I think that the chamber plays a very important role, and I've definitely benefited from it.
that's fantastic, and thank you for saying that. Let's share one thing. Give me your one piece of small business advice that you would give to small business owners that are either, or that are just at your stage right now. So what's the one thing that you would advise people to do in their business?
I think it's something that I tapped into. I think mindset is really important. Just have that keep going mentality. Just keep going. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be like, always, knock it out of the park. You're going to be fine. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to get knocked down, cry if you need to, do whatever you need to. But tomorrow's going to be another day, and you have another opportunity to better and improve and take on some bigger tasks. So keep going. Bad days are going to be part of this process, but along with those bad days are going to be great days. And you know what? The beauty of being self-employed is you don't have a glass ceiling that you have to break. You don't have to kiss up to anybody. You can create your own environment that you like. Like, for instance, I talk about myself. I wanted a positive work environment. That was the main thing that I wanted, just to be able to help my clients. And I was able to create that. And my agents, they also like that positive work environment. So that we don't have a very competitive, we're not compete, agents don't compete with one another in my office. We all work together. We're very compatible. There's a lot of, it's a supportive group. And, be proud of yourself that you've been able to create something that's your own vision. You can take it wherever you want to. Yes, you don't have the security of having that sort of solid floor, that solid safety net, but you also don't have a glass ceiling. So the sky's the limit, and be proud of the industry that you're in. Be proud that you're self-employed, and keep going. That's my advice.
Oh, that is excellent advice, and I can testify to the roller coaster of experiences where one day you will be dancing around your room, singing at the top of your lungs, because you got the big deal or you did something great, and then the next day you feel like it's all falling apart, and that's just kind of the life of a business owner. But thank you so much, Nan. One of the things we like to try to do in these Business Beat episodes, we try to do engaging questions with each of our panelists. So if you're listening and you get to this point, the engaging question for you would be, what's one thing that you learned as a small business owner when you first started? What's one thing that you feel like this is something that worked really well for me when I first started my business? Throw that in the comments. Kavita, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, we're going to bring on Herb Fischer. Herb is a former county superintendent, but he also reached out to the chamber recently about a program that he's working on. So one, I wanted to shed light on his program to see if anybody is interested in supporting his scholarship program. And then two, just to share about his experience and working with the chamber. So Herb, thank you so much for coming on, and would love to just share a little bit about your background in San Bernardino County and in our area.
Well, it's an honor to participate, Zeb, and I want to, as I listen to Kavita's presentation, it reminds me that for my family owned a small business, 56 years, retail nursery, and I remember every night after the blessing, the question was always, "How'd we do today?" So I have a full understanding of what it is to operate a small business, and I applaud Kavita and all the others that do this. Zeb, I wanted to first thank you and thank the Chamber for introducing us to the business community and the service clubs in Chino Valley. My wife and I had our whole careers in San Bernardino. She was a professor of education at Cal State. I was the county superintendent. And we came across a program that we felt was had the most promise of anything we'd ever worked with. And it's called AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination. It started in Colton High School, the first time in the county in 1991. It now is in every comprehensive high school in San Bernardino County. It basically takes the underserved students, the students that don't have a family tradition of going to college, and puts them in a program, a voluntary enrollment, a program where they prepare themselves to do well in college and prepare themselves to go to college. The statistical results of this program are amazing. 86% of these students are admitted into a four-year university. And these students and these universities the students go to, for the most part, are the University of California, the Cal State universities, and the private colleges. So we were thinking about, how do we pay back for all the wonderful things that happened to us in San Bernardino County? So we decided to focus on supporting scholarships ourselves, but asking our friends to do it as well. We started with 7 scholarships about 7 years ago. And right now, this last year, there were 74 of them granted throughout San Bernardino County. The reason that I'm involved with Zeb and the chamber is that last year we were only able to find one um, resident that was interested in supporting the 4 scholarships that we gave to Chino Hills, Chino, Arroyo, and Don Ayala and Don Lugo. So I was introduced to Zeb. Zeb has a background in AVID. I said, well, this is something we want to do. Who should we talk to? We don't know who to talk to in Chino. And he sent out an email to service clubs. And as a result of that, the Chino Valley Alliance, the Chino Valley Kiwanis have come forth and have covered 3 scholarships for us in the Chino School District. We're still working forward. He also introduced us to the Chino Hills Seroptis, and I was surprised to find out they had already found the AVID program and were offering a scholarship this particular year for students, female students at both Chino Hills and Ayala High School. So, and we plan to work with them this year to see if we can cooperate and work together. So I just first wanted to thank the business community, the service clubs, to say, boy, it's nice to be back in Chino. It's nice to be involved. I listened to Kavita talk today, and it's so encouraging to see how she and her business and the chamber have moved to a new direction. I think the recognition that Zeb received last year as being the most effective executive in the chamber is just an example. It's an example of how well you're doing. I further took a look at the connection that the chamber's made with education, and it's impressive. It's impressive at the high school level. There's programs for the elementary students. So we're planning on sticking around Chino. We came out and talked with the Chino Valley Lions. Next thing I know is I feel like I'm at home, and now we're planning on coming back periodically to be with them. We worked with the Chino Valley Kiwanis, and just in the conversation, and they've come ahead and they're supporting 2 scholarships. They've invited us to come back in May. We plan to do that. One of the things that's been nice is, as a nurseryman, whenever we would have a Nurserymen's Association dinner out in your area, you knew where we went. We went to Central Bosco. So I hadn't been there in probably 40 years. So after we were with the Lions, we went to Central Bosco. I'm planning to come back to Central Bosco, and it's going to be part of coming back to seeing others in other service clubs. So if you're a service club or you're a business owner and want to help these very deserving students, these students, as I said, for the most part, come from families where they don't have the tradition college. This AVID program instills that knowledge in them, prepares them for this experience. I don't think there's a private program. I don't think there's anything that's coming out that is as effective. I don't think you can hire a counselor to do as much as AVID does for these students. As I said, 86% of them are admitted to 4 years. 88% of them are still in college their second year. And those of you that have any experience with college level going to college know that first year is so difficult. So we feel this is important. As I said, this year, every comprehensive high school through the AVID Ambassador program will have at least one AVID scholarship. And you've got almost 700 kids in AVID in your school district. We've got 160 seniors. and every one of them would be deserving of a scholarship. Our scholarships are $1,500, and this just helps them. The scholarships go directly to the school, so the students can use them for their college expenses. So with that, I'll end my presentation. As I say, it's just really an honor, and I've I've never been within. Well, I'm probably 30 miles away from Zeb, but I feel like I know him, and getting to know him, I really get a sense of the energy that has been developed through him, through his leadership, and through the chamber in your area.
Well, hey, thank you so much for the kind words. One of the things I do love about living in Chino and Chino Hills is we do have a very engaged community. So there are lots of people that are willing to step up and help when people are doing good work. So that's one of the things I appreciate. We have a long history of having really strong service clubs in this area. So I think many of you probably know I'm the past president of the Chino Valley Rotary Club. So that's something that's been in existence for, we're actually going to be celebrating our 100th year. It's either this year or next year. But it's been around for 100 years, and this is the same thing where we have lots of the Kiwanis, the Lions Club that you all mentioned. These are all people that give back. But Herb, let me ask you one question about your time as county supervisor. What's one thing that you've just through your experience, whether it be like with Chino or Chino Hills, or just your role as being that somebody who's kind of like overseeing the region, what's kind of the something you would point you to be like, this is why I chose this area, or this is why this area is important, or do you have any or maybe like what the optimism or what the future could look like that you see for our region as somebody who has kind of been responsible in that role in a long time?
Well, as a county superintendent, and I served as a superintendent in the Colton School District prior to that. And of course, I grew up in San Bernardino, and I truly feel that the issues that we face in the Inland Empire are not smog, they're not crime, they're not congestion. I think the issues that we face in the Inland Empire is that we have an undereducated workforce. And I say that realizing that, I drive the 91. We have too many cars leaving San Bernardino County to go to Orange County to get the good work. And I feel that if we have a higher educated workforce, we're going to attract more and more of the business, the industry, the infrastructure. When Kaiser left, when Santa Fe left, when Norton left, when March Air Force Base left, George left, it really left a big hole for us in the county. And it's wonderful to see the entrepreneurship of the businesses, the small businesses that are making the big differences, to see to it that our students in Chino, in San Bernardino County, stay home, become part of the workforce, raise their families there. And I think, again, as an educator, I think it all starts in the classroom. My thought on this thing is, if students aren't reading by the third grade, it's going to be very difficult for them to graduate from high school. I feel further that if students don't graduate from high school, it's very likely they're going to be in the criminal justice system, social welfare system. The old saw I used to have is, college starts in kindergarten, and it's not just college. It's the advancement of career technical education. I was very pleased, Zeb, to see that your chamber focuses on that. It's not that all students are going to go to college, but all students ought to have that opportunity for that next level. And we're fortunate in California to have such fine technical programs offered in our community colleges as well. So that's kind of my focus, my vision. Cheryl and I are up there all the time because that's our home, that's where our friends are, and being now being reintroduced in Chino. I used to work with Chino. It's wonderful for us.
Well, good. No, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing that. And then just to go back to Avid a little bit, you mentioned that I did have a little bit of background on it, and it was a while ago. So, but I want to try to help consolidate for that for anybody that is listening. Avid is kind of like a program that's designed for kids that maybe not necessarily college bound, but they kind of work with them in the high school setting to make sure that they are college bound and that they do get onto college. And like you mentioned, that's 86 to 88% of folks go on to that first and second year of college. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
perfect. Well, perfect. Well, Herb, hey, thank you so much for your willingness to come on. Thanks for reaching out. And this is what we're here for. We're here leaders and influencers with our business community to help make sure that we're building a stronger community. So thank you for being a part of that.
Well, I would just end up saying if anybody wants us to come out to talk to your service club, your business, whatever, we know the way, and I'll get a dinner at Central Bosco, which is a good thing. So thank you very much.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Herb. Appreciate you. All right, so for those of you that are watching, the engaging question for Herb's session of this is what is a nonprofit that you support, or what's a passion project that you have in the Chino Valley that you'd like to raise awareness for? Do me a favor, throw that in the comments, and we'd love to chat about that too. So with that, I'm going to bring up our ambassador, Anicee. So Anicee is I actually saw a really cool video post of her shredding it up on down a mountain in Bozeman, Montana. So let's start with that. So let's start about your hobby, Anicee, because you're darn good on that snowboard. Can you talk about your past history in snowboarding?
Yeah, so actually, I started snowboarding about maybe 10 seasons ago. So I've been snowboarding for quite a while. I stopped for about 5 years because I had my child and I just started back again recently. So it's definitely one of my passions. I mean, when I'm on the mountain, it's just beautiful. There's no one there, and you just feel free and you're just flying down that mountain. So yeah, I definitely love it. And it's definitely one of my passions. And I continue, or I hope to continue to keep doing it till older age, as long as I stay healthy and my body's still working.
Perfect. And then, okay, so let's get back into the ambassador, get down to business stuff. So one, you're an ambassador of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. You've done a great job of doing some kind of outreach to our businesses, but let's talk about your business. What got you involved in the chamber?
So I live in Chino Hills. So I initially joined the chamber for a few reasons. I wanted to promote my business, which is lymphatic therapy. And I also wanted to meet other local business owners and also to get more involved with my community so I could find ways to give back. And through the chamber, I was actually able to achieve all three of those. So I'm really happy about that.
Now, that's awesome. So let's talk about all three of those things. So fill me in on each one of those if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been such a great experience to be a part of this chamber. I have so much fun attending all of the different networking events, the ribbon cutting ceremonies, and I really just got to meet such an amazing bunch of folks who have really become my friends. And the chamber and its members, they're great at giving referrals, which has really helped my business to grow. And overall, it's just been such a wonderful experience. It's such an active chamber, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it.
That's great. And then I want to talk so we have this ambassador program. We probably have about 15 to 20 they're business owners, people like Anicee, where we get together at lunchtime. It's the second Tuesday of every month we get together. But I know that time frame doesn't work for you, but you're still helping us out in a variety of different ways. And that's I want to articulate is you can support or work with the chamber in ways that make sense for you. I think oftentimes people are like, oh, I can't make that, I can't make that, so
Mhm.
therefore I can't participate. But that's not true. Can you talk about your kind of participation, how you've been participating as an ambassador, even though you're not usually able to make those second Tuesday meetings every month?
Yeah, so my schedule is a little bit more all over the place. So the way that I help out is I actually reach out to different chamber members and I'll give them a call just to check in, see how they're doing. and also let them know that the chamber is here to help them. And since they're already a paying member, they definitely want to take advantage of all the free marketing and advertising opportunities that the chamber has to offer. And at that time, I also let them know about all the different events. We have the business at breakfast twice a month. And now we just started the mixers at night for those who can't make it in the mornings. And that's hosted once a month at different locations. And I have to say that has just been such a huge success. We just had our most recent one at Gozo Lounge, and it was just amazing where we got to meet so many people. We got to try great food, and it's just such a different atmosphere than the business at breakfast. So I definitely make sure that all the members are aware of the opportunities that they have and to really take advantage of those to help promote their business.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you stepping up and doing that. I mean, one of the things that I also like to point out is like I think Kavita mentioned this too. As a business owner, we're kind of like in our shells, we're in our own world all the time. And I feel like that being a part of the chamber gives you the opportunity to network and collaborate with other people, but it's like usually networking, collaborating with a purpose. So there's ways that
Mm-hmm.
you can use it to help grow your business, but you're also developing skills along the way. So we plan those mixers, we plan lots of events, we bring ambassadors together to help plan that stuff, and it
Mm-hmm.
gives project management skills, how to work with other people. Oftentimes, as business owners, we're all very like A personality types. We're very so sometimes
Yeah.
how do you work with those people? And those are skills to develop too. And I just appreciate all the support that you've given on that front. And you mentioned our mixers. We revamped those with COVID. We had that kind of go away for
Yes.
a little while. Those are back this year. And you mentioned Gozo and then the ribbon cuttings. And so I just appreciate you attending and participating. But the thing that I kind of wanted to point out was we're doing this not just to like support the community as a whole, but also to support your business because this does give you the opportunity to connect with other business owners and people as you're making those calls or engaging that. Can you talk about how this has helped grow your business?
Yes, absolutely. So when I first started, and this is before I joined the chamber, I just really didn't know many people in the area. I had just moved back from Palm Springs, so it was just a completely new territory for me. So being a part of the chamber, it just really gave me the opportunity to get out there, meet people in the community. And like I said, everyone was just so warm and so friendly. I mean, it's impossible to just not get to know people. So that really helped because I was able to get a lot of referrals that came my way from the chamber. And even though my space right now it's in Tustin, I'm still getting referrals from Chino Hills to get out there in Tustin. And I'm also hoping to establish a space here in Chino Hills as well. And I know with the community, once I do that, it's just, they're just going to be really helpful with that.
Well, excellent. Well, Anicee, thank you so much for all that you do to support the chamber and how you step up and are willing to do that. So maybe my engaging question for those of you that are listening is what's one way you feel like you could contribute to support your business community? Oftentimes when I think of saying, hey, I don't say like, can you support the chamber? It's like, how can you support the business community so we're building stronger business relationships here in our area? So that's my question. How do you feel like you can best help support the chamber? Anicee, thank you so much for being an ambassador and for sharing your wisdom with us today. All right. With that, I am
Thank
going
you.
to, of course,
Sorry, there was a lag. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, it's been amazing being a part of this chamber, and I hope to continue networking and meeting more people. And thank you so much.
all right, excellent. Thank you. Okay. So our next speaker, I guess you'll say, is Renay. Renay is our Workforce Development Director here at the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. What we want to do is kind of highlight some of the stuff that Renay does. So let me set her up here. Hold on one second. There we go. Perfect. So Renay is our Workforce Development Director here at the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. She does phenomenal work, has done great things. She was recently recognized as Staff Member of the Year by the Association of Chamber Executives at the last conference we had. She is also Woman of the Year by Assemblymember Freddie Rodriguez's office last year, and a bunch of other accolades as well. So Renay, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's start with just you as an individual. You know, you had a little bit of experience in workforce development before you got involved in the chamber. Can you talk about kind of your career path?
Oh, sure. So yes, I actually, right after my MBA, I joined the County of San Bernardino Workforce Development Department, and I did workforce programs, and this was like in 2009. So this was like during the recession. So there was a lot of push from the government to push programs and stuff. And so I did that, and then I became a mother of two boys. So I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and I took a break for 10 years, and then I joined. And then in 2020 is I did the US Census work, and that's how I got to meet with the chamber. And then when that concluded, I started working at the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Excellent. And then let's talk about, because we started our workforce development program pretty much when you came on board and joined us. Can you talk about like the evolution of our workforce development since you came? So before you came on board, we really weren't involved in that space. We weren't really helping businesses find folks. I'll just start a little bit by giving my background on it. One of the things that happened where we started doing this work was we had the local high school came in with some students that were looking. And then when I was talking to these business owners, everybody wanted one. Everybody's like, yeah, I would love to take on an intern and help do that. And so I would place that intern, but then it kind of felt like it would just dissipate and go away, and we didn't have that connection that would continue. The other thing that brought it about was right after COVID, if you were driving around town, you would just see help wanted signs everywhere. And so that was another reason why we started doing that work. Plus, we're doing this training programs at the chamber industry that we're all talking about the importance of workforce development in the chamber industry. So all of those things kind of combined right at the same time that you joined our team. So let's talk about how this workforce development piece you since you got here.
So it was, yeah, I guess there was a lot of job wanted signs. It was like right after the pandemic. So it was like, I guess it was getting on board and starting off with the job fairs. And so I know that shortly after I came on board, we had a job fair, which was really successful. But then it was also our partnership with the County of San Bernardino and like the Workforce Development Department, because they have a lot of on-the-job training programs that many of our businesses did not know about. And I felt like we as a chamber, being that trusted source, were able to provide that to our businesses, and our businesses have benefited a lot from it. On-the-job training funds or training programs to the county provide 50% of the first 3 months' wages. And that's something that the businesses really needed, as well as they were starting back from the pandemic. We've been able to implement a lot of that. And so it's been really good and successful. And we're still able to do that today.
Yeah, and one of the other things that you've also worked on is we applied for this upskill Chino Valley program, and we were working on it also like right when you came on board, and we were putting together these proposals, and you're pretty instrumental in putting together that proposal. And you've been doing a lot of, and I'll call it grant writing, but it's submitting proposals on looking to secure funds to help us do that work. So one, I want to thank you for doing that. But two, talk a little bit about some of the successes we've had in terms of things that you've helped bring to the chamber.
So yeah, I really feel like, yeah, this grant writing work, I appreciate Zeb for letting me do this, because I really did not have any training in it, and I really did not know that I could do it, but it was really fun. And I guess it just really comes from the passion to serve the community, and those programs have helped us a lot. So yes, we did get funding through our state, but then also we've been able to get a lot more through our different partnerships, the county, one of them. And then we're also working on, like, we just got one through IREN, which is Inland Regional Energy Network as well, working on providing, and this is sort of like what Herb was saying earlier, like trying to provide more sustainable wages here in the Inland Empire. So green energy is one of them as well. So I'm like really excited about this work that we're gonna get started.
Yeah, good. And I will say, like, as because of that, like, funding source. So the big one, we got $1 million from the state to pursue what we called Upskill Chino Valley. And it's all the programs we've implemented over the last 1.5 to 2 years. We now have, just as a result of that, we now have a leadership program where we have 25 community get a chance to tour different locations in and around the community. We've conducted about 2 roundtables per month, which is we bring in about 10 to 15 business owners around specific topics. We work to solve some of their immediate issues. As a chamber or that group that we get together for a roundtable has action items to help make the business community bigger, better, and stronger. We have more of a workforce development piece. So we've been doing job fairs and trainings and workshops to help people find jobs. We've done a lot of work with youth as a result. Right now we are doing some internship programs with Chaffey College. And then lastly, we put together some entrepreneurial programming as a result. So none of that would have been possible had we not gone through with doing that. The other thing I want to share is we had let's talk about you kind of talked about it in the beginning, but I want to hone in on it. What are the resources we provide for businesses in the Chino Valley?
So the first, I mean, there's a lot, and then we do from the workforce development piece, it is a lot of like, we do have we have our job fairs, but also businesses can come and connect, and we also send out a hiring flyer so it goes out to our community as well. If there are any hiring, we can blast it out on our social media. And then also it's just like ways that if they wanted to upskill, there's a lot of trainings that we can provide. We have like a lot of through the county and through the state, we're able to provide a lot of those programs. The county also has a lot of resources for businesses. Apart from the on-the-job training, they have an HR hotline. And so there are a lot of resources that we can provide. Another thing that we've been, I think both Zeb and we've both been working on is our talent pipeline management, is trying to see how we can grow, how we can get like, upskill our community, but also like there's still a lot of workforce development issues. Still businesses are having a hard time hiring. Individuals are having a hard time looking for, the job that they want. So this TPM program is an employer-led program where we're actually able to make those connections, well, not just within job seekers, but then also academic sources as well, to make sure that they're getting trained the way that our employers want.
Yeah, excellent. And I'll just kind of throw in like the intention for this is our businesses, if you're looking to hire people, we want to help you get talent this close by. One of the things that I always talk about when I'm talking about our workforce development work, I had a bunch of friends that I grew up with, super smart people, and then they left the region, and I feel like they left because they didn't think that the jobs that they wanted were here in our community. Now that I've been I know that those jobs exist and that are here and that they totally could have stayed if they wanted to, but they just weren't aware of those things. And so I think our goal at the Chamber of Commerce is, one, we want to make sure we're retaining talent. I feel like we have really good schools here, and it's particularly in the Chino Valley area, and that we're training really strong, smart people for the future. But then they feel like the opportunities are elsewhere. And Herb even alluded to that, where as a San Bernardino County superintendent of schools, that people would be leaving to Orange County or they're leaving to LA. To pursue work in those areas, so they're reaping the benefits. Whereas if we're able to retain that talent here, that our businesses will be stronger, we'll have smarter decisions being made, and our community will be better for it. So our goal is to connect job seekers that are looking for jobs locally with businesses locally. I think that'll also make a happier environment, because you're not commuting for an hour and a half to LA or 2 hours to Orange County, whatever that might be. So Renay, thank you for all the work that you do. You've done phenomenal work on the workforce development space, and thank you. And that's been proven by all of your accolades.
Thank you. But I also wanted to take a moment to give a shout out to Kavita. I was great listening to you today, Kavita, and she actually does a great job. I've known her for a while, but today I'm able to sit in my own house because of Kavita. She does her agents, she's trained them very well. And really, it's very like scary to buy a new house, but her agents worked very well with us. So I really wanted to give her a shout out for that as well. Thank you so much. It's made a dream possible for sure. So I appreciate that very much from the bottom of my heart. But then also in the workforce development side, we do have a job fair coming up on April 23rd. So I did want, if anyone is interested, to please reach out. And then we also have our Energize SoCal event talking about green energy and our partnerships on April 24th. So thank you. And it's also a great blessing to be part of the Chino Valley Chamber team as well. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So the engaging question for those of you that are watching it'll be twofold. If you know somebody who's looking for a job, Let them know about the chamber resources, particularly direct them to Renay. If you know a business that's looking to hire somebody, do the same thing. Have them reach out to the chamber, connect them with Renay, tag them in the comments below if a job, or you know of a business who's looking to hire people, make sure you tag them into the comments of this video. With that, I'm going to do a couple of announcements, and then I'll close it out with some of the resources that we have available for small businesses. Number one, just legislative advocacy wise, as a chamber, our legislative action committee did decide to support Prop 1, so that one passed. So the chamber support, we had that, and it was very close as well. But that one did pass. We do have 2 legislative roundtables that are coming up. We have on April 12th. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at the chamber office. It's going to be a retail theft roundtable. We're also going to have Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez. So if you know of any businesses that experienced retail theft or had any kind of crime-related issues, you're going to want them to attend this roundtable. So please encourage those businesses. If you heard of a break-in or you heard of those things, make sure you hit them up on the social media channels. Let them know of this retail event that's coming up. Next, we have on April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this is at Tailored Space. We're going to have a meet and greet with Congresswoman Young Kim. So if you would like to connect and meet with a Congresswoman, your opportunity is going to be April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Tailored Space in Chino Hills. And then we have on April 13th, we're going to have a ribbon cutting. This is for Pet Wants. And they have a new store location. And so they've been a chamber member for a long time, have been looking for a retail spot. They got one, and we're going to do a ribbon cutting for them on April 13th at 11 o'clock. On April 24th is a major event for us. This is going to be at the Chafee College Intech Center. The event is called Energize SoCal 2024. We're going to be talking about incentives for the energy community. We're also going to be talking about regulations that are there, and we're going to be highlighting some of the new businesses in town that are focused on energy transportation network. And then on April 30th from 5:30 to 8 is going to, at the Chino Hills Community Center, it's going to be of the city. So that's another major event that we help put on. You're going to hear from the mayor about the years past, but also what they're looking to do in the future. So with that, those are our upcoming events through the chamber. And then lastly, I'll just kind of give one more plug about some of the things that our chamber does to help support small businesses. So Josie, our marketing director, who's also helping me facilitate this call today, she helped put on the small business startup guide. So one of the things that came out of our discussions was, hey, how do we start a business here in town? We need more support and resources on how to do that. So we created a small business guide. It's on our website. So if you want to take a look at the resources page on our website, there's a section in there that will talk about the small business startup guide. You click on it, you can download it, and it'll tell you how to start a business in Chino or Chino Hills, what you need to do in order to get that business off the ground and get started. You also have us as a resource, so feel free, anybody you know that's looking to start a business or get into business, send them over to us and we'll tell them what the next steps could possibly be for them to get started. We can connect them with resources. If they get on our email list, they're going to know about all the things that are business related here. And so if you have any businesses, make sure you tag them so that we can make sure that we're supporting them. With that, I want to thank you all for listening today for the Chino Valley Business Beat. If you want somebody else you want to come as a panelist, you'd like to share your story, do me a favor, tag me in the comments and let me know. Thanks, and have a great rest of the week. Bye. Okay,